Welcome to the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. We've got a fast-paced hour of fishing, hunting, and conservation covering the nation and the Northwest, including 13 extra minutes of local content you'll only hear on Seattle's Sports Radio 950 KJR.
It's Saturday morning, and I'm glad you're here because we've got a lot of the Northwest coming your way during the next hour, to include two guests giving some local information. One of those people is Nick Alonzo. He works at Tillamook Sporting Goods, and if you live in Washington, you know the limit for Dungeness crab is 6. But if you go to Oregon, it's 12. And Tillamook in Tillamook Bay offers some fantastic crabbing opportunities that Nick is going to tell you about. We'll also talk to Bob Loomis with Mack's Lure at the end of the show. They have got something brand new that you, as a salmon angler, are going to want to have. It is a new paddle flasher. It is the Mack's Scentflash UV paddle flasher that gives off scent that is going to attract more salmon to your lure. But first, let's tell you what's hot. Brought to you by your Puget Sound area Sportsman's Warehouse stores in Everett, Federal Way, Puyallup, and Silverdale, where the early hunt sale is ending tomorrow. If you haven't taken advantage of this yet, you're missing out. They've got hunting boots. They've got all sorts of apparel you're going to want for hunting season. They've got the things you need for deer camp and elk camp. They've got smokers for the food that you're going to harvest. They've got bows. They've got rifles. They've got ammo. They've got arrows. In short, if you are going hunting, you've got to go to Sportsman's Warehouse. Take advantage of the great deals and do so quick because the early hunt sale ends tomorrow. Okay, let's share some fishing reports and let's talk salmon. We're going to start off in Puget Sound, where it wasn't exactly fast and furious for salmon anglers last week, but creel checks found at least some Chinook and coho being brought into the boat ramps in marine areas 9 and 10, and some pinks were showing up in catches in marine areas 5, 6, and 7 as well. Out in the big blue sea of our ocean waters, anglers were averaging about a salmon each out of Westport, with the bag being predominantly coho. That one salmon per angler average also held true for those fishing out of La Push and Nia Bay. And once again, the hot spot along the coast is off the mouth of the Columbia River, where anglers out of Ilwaco and Astoria were catching salmon at a rate of 1.4 fish apiece last week. A lot of that fishing pressure is going to shift now to Buoy 10 at the mouth of the Columbia as those Chinook and coho start making their way up the mighty Columbia River. Just about every salmon guide I know in the Northwest seems to be offering trips there this month, and while the Chinook fishing may not be the best, the coho fishing is expected to be outstanding. Staying with salmon-related news, the annual Gig Harbor Puget Sound Anglers Salmon Derby takes place next Saturday the 10th in marine areas 11 and 13 from daylight until 2 p.m. The biggest salmon weighed in at the Point Defiance Marina in Tacoma will earn that lucky angler a $2,500 paycheck, and there are cash and prizes paid out for the top 10 fish. Tickets to enter can be purchased online through the Gig Harbor PSA website or at the Point Defiance Marina for $35. And bring the kids, because if they're under 14, they compete for free. Checking in with NorthwestFishingReports.com, a guide service called Black Star Fishing Company reports the Cowlitz is fishing better than expected for summer steelhead. The run has been picking up the last week or so, and they are finding steelies above Blue Creek and Toledo early in the day before the fish move to faster water at the head ends of deep pools as the sun climbs higher in the sky. Free drifting small beads, yarn balls, bait, and even throwing spinners have all drawn strikes. Finally, fall bear hunting is officially underway. Outdoors writer and avid bear hunter Troy Rodakowski says if you go, there are two methods that work well this time of year. First off, you can spot and stalk those bears in clear-cut areas or around berry patches, or you can set up in those areas and call them in using fawn or calf calls. If you choose this latter method, though, be careful. Those bears can come in fast. And with that, now you know what's hot right here in the Pacific Northwest.
That's your first local shot of the outdoors. Now let's see what's going on across the nation. Ready for more local fishing and hunting? You got it. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, right here on Seattle's Sports Radio 950 KJR.
For our next local shot of the outdoors, we're taking you to Tillamook Sporting Goods because there's some great crabbing available in Tillamook Bay. You can actually keep 12 Dungeness crab a day, and they don't have to be as big as they are in Washington either, only 5 3/4 inches across the back. So if you've got a hankering for a whole bunch of great tasting Dungeness crab, Tillamook Bay is the place to go. And Tillamook Sporting Goods is the place to get what you need. With us here to tell you about the crabbing down there is Nick Alonzo. Nick, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So, Nick, if people go to Tillamook Bay, where do you send them to go crabbing, especially if they don't have a boat?
If you don't have a boat, they've actually got a pier that's very public-friendly, right in Garibaldi. It's really close to the marina, so a lot of people will go to the pier and they can throw off crab rings or they can throw crab snares if they don't have a boat. That's in Tillamook Bay. And then some people like to go down to Netarts Bay, and you can throw out crab snares and the foldable crab traps from crab rods.
Right.
Which is really fun because it's like crab fishing, kind of a mix of both worlds. But yeah, there's a lot of crabbing opportunity around Tillamook, both north and south.
Okay. Now, if you do have a boat, or let's say you just want to rent one from the marina in Garibaldi, where would you be dropping some crab pots?
So right across from the marina is actually, they got Crab Harbor. That's what we call it. You can find it they have it on maps online. That's a really good spot. And then also in between the jetty, a lot of people on the inside of the jetty up in Tillamook Bay. That's a great place to drop pots.
Last question for you, Nick. Bait. Do you recommend chicken or do you recommend something else?
Chicken works pretty good. The seals stay off of it better with the chicken, but we have the rockfish parts and flatfish at our store from the bay, and that works really well for the crab. They seem to be keyed in on rockfish, but yeah, some people like to use chicken and salmon. It just kind of personal preference, but yeah, here most of the time we use rockfish carcasses and flatfish carcasses. That seems to work pretty good.
Well, folks, if you want to head down to Tillamook and you need some gear, you can pick up crab pots, you can pick up crab rings, you can pick up crab snares, and you can pick up bait at Tillamook Sporting Goods. It's a great store. They've got everything you need for not just crabbing, but fishing too. Nick, thanks so much for sharing this with us today on America Outdoors Radio.
No problem.
Natural wonders, beaches, and coves, majestic forests, and scenic vistas are waiting for you at the Tillamook Coast. Lace up your hiking boots, grab your camera, and come to Northwest Oregon. Find out more at tillamookcoast.com.
If you're going to buy a firearm, why not get it the way you want it? You can at Jones Arms. They're the firearms retailer that also designs and custom builds a variety of firearms. From competitive shooting and hunting to personal security, Jones Arms has the guns, ammo, and accessories you need. See them on Facebook or jonesarms.com.
Don't leave yet. We've got one more local shot of fishing and hunting to wrap up the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio.
You know what time it is. It's time for another Mack's Minute, brought to you every week from Mack's Lure. And with us again is Bob Loomis, the Sales and Marketing Director. Bob, just in time for ocean salmon fishing this year, you've got a brand new product. And I know this is going to slay the coho and some of those kings where it's open too. Tell our listeners about the Mack's Scentflash UV Paddle Flasher.
Well, John, the UV paddle flasher is just exactly what it says. It's a large 11-inch rotational paddle flasher, but it's got a little secret thing that nobody else has. It's got a patented scent chamber. You can take and open up the paddle and put whatever type of scent you'd like inside that paddle. Anything, corn, herring, tuna, any type of scent that you can think of, you can put it in there. It doesn't create any extra drag. It fishes just like any other traditional 11-inch paddle flasher, and the bodies themselves are both high UV. We've got a high UV chartreuse and a high UV clear.
So you came out earlier this year with the triangle flasher, the Scentflash triangle flasher. What situations would you use the paddle flasher in as opposed to the triangle flasher?
The triangle flasher I'm going to use when I'm not having to create any type of added movement on my gear. Is what I'm using it for is nothing more than a traction. I'm not trying to get any added movement on my herring or my spinner or whatever else I'm fishing with, but I'm just creating a traction. So that's what I would use the triangle flasher for. With the paddle flasher, I'm going to use it because I want to get added movement on my gear, as well as I'm drawing from a little bit further away because these things, you're going to rotate anywhere from 2.5 to 3.5 feet in diameter in the water.
So no matter what your situation is, salmon fishing, whether it's buoy 10 or whether it's off the coast, Max has got something for you. It's the Max Scentflash UV paddle flasher. That's the brand new one. Or the triangle flasher. That's the one that's been out for a few months now. Pick one up and improve your salmon catching this summer. Thanks, Bob.
Thanks, John.
That's all for this week, but don't worry. We'll do it all again next Saturday morning from 7 to 8, right here on Seattle's Sports Radio 950 KJR.